All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Imagine trying to build a massive economic powerhouse when a simple letter takes an entire month just to reach its destination. Today, we're unpacking exactly how the vast, heavily disconnected early United States evolved into a united powerhouse from the 17th to the 19th century. Seriously, put yourself in the shoes of an early American for a second. Imagine trying to move anything, a letter to a relative, traveling to a new city, or trying to ship a literal ton of harvested crops. Every single one of those tasks took an agonizingly long time. How would you even handle a medical emergency or a crucial business deal if you had to wait weeks just to get a simple yes or no? The contrast we see here is almost unbelievable. In just a matter of decades, we jump from a society totally bound by the physical limits of dirt roads and slow ships to the massive breakthroughs of the late 1800s. We're talking about going from months of grueling, dangerous travel to the absolute magic of railroads and instant communication. It's like night and day. Section 1. The Barrier of Distance and Early America's Limits. Let's look at the monumental problem of geography that stood right in the way of a united nation. You see, early America was geographically huge, but incredibly limited, because folks relied entirely on unpaved dirt roads and slow, wind-powered ships. Moving goods or people was, frankly, a sluggish nightmare. It bred extreme regional isolation. People in one state were effectively living in a totally different world than those just a few states over. Trade was incredibly slow, and building a unified national identity, well, that's incredibly difficult when everyone is so separated. Section 2. Conquering the waters through canals and steamboats. So how did they solve this massive geographical problem? Well, they started by rethinking the waterways. The Erie Canal, completed in 1825, was an absolute stroke of engineering genius. By literally digging a direct water route that linked the Great Lakes to the Hudson River, they fundamentally changed the geography of trade. Shipping costs absolutely plummeted. And this single piece of infrastructure, it's exactly what funneled goods to the coast and crowned New York City as the nation's top trade port. So what was the ultimate payoff of this massive undertaking? If you were tracking with that last point, you know it wasn't just a shiny new place to sail. The main benefit was an economic explosion fueled by drastically lower shipping costs, which specifically sparked that unprecedented rise of New York City. But hey, they didn't stop with canals. Water travel got a massive, roaring upgrade with steamboats. Suddenly, you're no longer at the mercy of the wind or river currents. You could steam right against them. This effectively cut river travel times in half, making the movement of heavy goods and people relentlessly efficient. Section 3. Uniting by iron rails and the railroad era. Let's see how this momentum builds right into the next major technological leap, which was conquering the land itself. This timeline perfectly maps out the incredibly fast pace of our era. We start in the early 1800s dodging mud on literal dirt paths. By 1825, we've brilliantly linked the waterways with the Erie Canal. And then, the crowning achievement in 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad officially connects the East and West coasts. That is a breathtaking pace of national development in just a few short decades. By 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad completely revolutionized physical movement in America. Think about this. Travel went from 6 dangerous months in a covered wagon to just under a week on a train. It seamlessly connected distant cities, dramatically supercharged the economy, and completely revolutionized how fast physical mail could be delivered coast to coast. A total game changer. Now, think about the sheer human impact of this shift. Because coast-to-coast travel was now fast, affordable, and significantly safer, it absolutely blew the doors off Western migration. Entire families could confidently pack up and settle in the West, knowing for a fact they weren't completely cut off from the rest of civilization. Our source material actually bridges the gap between physical travel and the spread of news with this really profound verse from Isaiah. It says, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news." It highlights something deeply human, how vital it is to share ideas, good news, and warnings across great distances. Whether it's a person running over a mountain or a train speeding across a plain, the ultimate goal is connection. Section 4. Instant news and the telegraph. That human desire for connection brings us right to the communication revolution, where moving information was suddenly no longer tied to how fast a horse, a ship, or even a train could physically travel.
We are about to break the physical speed limit of communication. The big question is, who made it happen, and why did it change absolutely everything?
Enter Samuel Morse. He invented the telegraph. And talk about a total paradigm shift. It moved communication away from physical letters that spent agonizing weeks in a mailbag to electrical signals tapping across a wire that took mere seconds to cross hundreds of miles. For the very first time in human history, information could travel faster than a human being could. Faster communication meant ideas and warnings could spread almost instantly. This revolutionized everything. It completely transformed daily news reporting, totally revamped how businesses operated, altered diplomatic relations, and even changed military strategy, giving commanders unprecedented real-time control during conflicts like the Civil War.
So, how did this all compound to influence economic growth? Well, by uniting those isolated regions and allowing goods, news, and people to move rapidly and affordably, these combined innovations, the canals, the railroads, and the telegraphs, collectively acted as a massive, unstoppable engine for economic growth across the entire country.
Section 5, Education Linked with Morality, from the Godly Learner series. Now, our source material takes a really fascinating pivot here. It shifts from technological advancement to moral advancement, introducing the guiding philosophy behind its framework.
The source emphasizes this highly foundational concept: intertwining biblical morality with education is absolutely essential. The core perspective here is that being highly educated, like having the know-how to build incredible machines, without a strong, grounded moral compass to guide how those machines are used, ultimately leads to societal and personal pain. Education without morality will hurt.
To really ground this educational philosophy, the text points directly to Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. It notes that engaging with this spiritual, morally focused mindset isn't just about following rules. It actually promises a true, lasting peace of mind for the learner.
In other words, having the brilliant technological smarts to build expansive railroads across mountains or string telegraph wires across a continent is absolutely incredible. But that technical education must be paired with good choices and guided by morality to truly benefit society. Intelligence simply gives us power. Morality dictates how we actually wield it.
I'll leave you with this provocative final thought from our explainer today. As we rapidly advance in technology and push the boundaries of education even now, what is the point of being smart and supposedly educated if we continue to make bad choices that hurt? How will you ensure your choices help rather than hurt? It's a timeless question, and honestly, it's just as relevant today as it was when the very first telegraph line was strung. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.